It's a nice, cool Saturday morning. Not too much traffic yet. I'll just have to compete with the birds mainly. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about guilds, which I do not really like. I don't design them. This is my Asian pear tree. And when I planted it, I put a guild in. Lots of nice plants, and I took care of my guild. And I considered it fairly mature. The desirable plants that I put in here were covering the ground, not a lot of space in between. But then I got busy, something happened, and ground ivy basically took over the entire thing. And when I had time to come back to it, there was really nothing left. It was pretty much a sheet of ground ivy, which I pulled out and then just kind of tried to keep it mainly clear. And what's happened is the most aggressive plants have been able to thrive here. So I've got some nice yarrow and some feverfew. And over here on the other side, there's the occasional strawberry still alive, and over here got some monarda, which will be really beautiful when it blooms. And I just kind of let nature take its course, removing the weeds that I could. There's also a lot of thistle and wing stem and things down in there. I don't really want those things in there. And violets. I don't want the violets in here. There's my thistles coming in. There's some grass. Mainly I've been able to keep those things at bay. And it's doing okay. I'm happy with this area. But just a word on ground ivy. As you probably know if you've read the stuff I've written, it's extremely aggressive here. It tries to cover everything. And my attitude toward plants like that is I need to get rid of them. They are weeds. Weeds exist. While in general here in the garden I'm shooting for maximum diversity. I want to grow as many plants as I can here as possible. And it's really easy to decide which plants I don't want to grow because I can observe that when things like ground ivy come in, diversity disappears. It is an exotic, invasive, and highly aggressive, especially in cultivated areas and almost every place else. And when it comes in, diversity decreases and the whole system goes closer to a monoculture. Yes, eventually that would reverse. If I abandoned this area, it would turn into forest. I don't want that to happen. I've put a lot of work into this area. I have interrupted succession. That's the whole point of a vegetable garden like this. It's not a food forest. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't want self-seeding plants and tall plants in certain places to shade out other plants and whatnot. To me, that's not a food forest. A food forest is where you do not interrupt succession, you encourage it, but the end result is very productive. So you're getting some product from mature trees, and there's also very little upkeep. This is not that. This is high upkeep, high input as far as labor, but also incredibly productive, way more productive than a food forest would be. the amount of labor or inputs put in is going to equal the amount taken out, or that's the theory anyway. That's the goal. So if you have a food forest, you will have very little inputs. It will almost be effortless. But what you're actually taking out to eat, calorie-wise, is probably going to be a lot less than this. That's okay. Each has its place. But because of the nature of this type of operation, I spend a lot of time weeding and removing plants, plant matter that I don't want. And you can look at my previous video, Weeds Are Relative, if you want to find out more about that.